It's a huge honor and pleasure for me to be with you tonight. Please feel free to continue drinking during this presentation. And a huge thanks to Bill and Ben and Alexandra and everyone at the National Academy. It's been a real joy getting to know your work, the incredible work that this organization does. What an incredible contribution in this moment. And I'm honored to be increasingly partnering with you, and I'm told that I'm the first new member who's ever been invited to speak at the reception, so I'm very honored. But before we start, very honored. But before we start, I wanted to bring some of the leaders of our movement into the room. I'm a part of a growing movement of caregivers, family caregivers and professional caregivers who really want to transform how we take care of each other in this country. We call ourselves the caring majority. So I want to bring some of their voices into the room with this short video, and then we'll talk. Thanks.
You are a wonderful, joyful, loving person.
You are like a father figure to me.
You are just gentle.
We care about each other, and we take an interest in each other.
Before I came to this country, I was taking care of my grandmother. So I felt that I can do the job.
I took it for granted that, you know, if I wanted to do anything, I would get up, go out shopping, visiting people. Unfortunately, that's no longer the case.
I noticed you were changing years ago.
After I been able to get you to go outside, I got the opportunity then to go places with you.
When I got home from rehab after being away for over 3 months, the first thing I saw were 8 balloons that you had put up around my door, welcoming me back. And I knew I was truly home.
I am totally honored to be a caregiver for you. It is a great privilege and a joy for me.
There are so many things that I still can't do that I depend on you to help me. And the help is given so freely and with so much love, and that makes me feel a lot better and still independent, but as I said, independent with benefits.
We are not only just caregivers, you are a nutritionist, you are a nurse, you're the doctor.
You are my mother, Julie Davis, and you are loved by a whole lot of people.
You're Dr. Morris Steiner. You are my patient. You're a pediatrician, war veteran. You have taught me things that I know would take me through the rest of my life.
You are my community, but you're even more than that. You are my friends. And as much as you've done for me, there's nothing that I wouldn't do for you also.
So I come to you with about 20 years of experience working alongside the domestic workers and home care workers in this country who go to work in our homes every day, and they take care of some of the most important parts of our lives: our kids, our parents, our grandparents, and our homes. And it is such critical work. We call it the work that makes all other work possible, because it often makes it possible for us then to go into the workforce and participate in the workforce in productive ways and help realize our potential to contribute to society. And despite how critical this is, and I think most of us have some very direct connection to this work, it's some of the most undervalued and vulnerable work in our economy today. It is almost like we compare it to a Wild West type environment, because you never quite know what you're going to get. You might find a wonderful family that you stay with for several generations even, and there's a really healthy, respectful relationship, and you may even be able to save. Or there's the whole other end of the spectrum where there's modern day slavery type situations, human trafficking, non-payment of wages for years. If I told you some of the stories, you might not even believe me. And then there's everything in between. And no standards, no guidelines, and oftentimes incredibly low wages. So many of you may be familiar, but the annual median income for a home care worker who provides elder care or support for a person with disabilities is $13,000 per year. And we're talking about people who are working incredibly hard, doing incredibly difficult work, important work, $13,000 per year. That is not by any stretch a family-sustaining wage, right, in any part of this country. So our work has been really trying to figure out how do we professionalize this workforce, bring value to this work, bring recognition to this work, and transform these jobs into jobs that you can take pride in and support your family on, and one generation can do better than the next. And we've made some progress. We've passed protections in several states, and we worked on a home care rule change with the Department of Labor that brought 2 million home care workers who were excluded from minimum wage and overtime protections under protection. So there's been some incremental progress in the recognition of this work as real work, and really trying to figure out what it would take to have a care workforce that was sustainable. And in the midst of all of that, about 6 or 7 years ago, we started hearing these stories of workers who were hired originally as house cleaners or as nannies who were suddenly being called upon to provide elder care. And the demand for elder care on the part of American families was just exploding. People with, Aunt Joan was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, or the grandmother had a stroke and was coming home from the hospital and needed care and support. These kinds of stories everywhere we turned. And what we realized was that we are, in many ways, in this incredible moment of change in American family life, where on the one hand, people are living longer than ever before because of advances in healthcare and technology. And the baby boom generation is starting to age and turn 70 at a rate of 4 million people per year. So we're about to have the largest older population we've ever had, and very little in the way of systems to support that. And then what we also started to realize was the pressure on the other side of the generational spectrum, as the millennial generation, the largest, most diverse generation in history, is now turning 35 and having babies of their own at a rate of 4 million children born per year. So 4 million people turning 70, 4 million babies born every year. And this generation we called the sandwich generation, paninied, the panini effect, paninied in between the pressures of caring for aging loved ones and children, right? That there is a way in which we need more care than ever before, at a time when we actually have less of it than we ever had, because women, who were our default care infrastructure of the past, right? Women were kind of expected to stay home and take care of children and take care of the parents, right? Are now in the workforce. So it is an incredible moment of change, and we started sensing the pressures on American families through the lens and the experiences of the workforce. And that was the origin of this campaign we call Caring Across Generations, where we're trying to bring together families who are providing care for aging loved ones or struggling to manage child care, together with the people who need care, supports, and services, together with the workforce, to figure out how we reimagine our systems in this country to support the 21st century working family to both participate in the workforce and care for families too. And we think that that is a fundamentally different proposition and challenge than it was generations ago. In the digital era, in the modern era, where we have adult age working people in the workforce and we have a longer generational lifespan, we actually have a different set of challenges and a different need in terms of infrastructure and social programs and public policy frameworks than we did several generations ago. And one of the things that we, kind of the analogy we talk about is when we think about the question of infrastructure, right? We often think about roads and bridges and pipes and internet, interwebs. Well, we actually think that the care economy and investing in the care economy is an essential part of infrastructure for the 21st century. Just like we had to put roads and bridges and pipes in place to bring running water and the internet to every home in America, we need to figure out what's the infrastructure and foundation we need to put into place to bring real caregiving options and support to every home in America. That is a profound part of the challenge of the 21st century. And it's a huge opportunity because a lot of these things we should have been valuing and investing in all along. Am I right? So we see it as a moment of transformation and a moment of incredible opportunity. And I can't think of a better collection of intellectuals and academics and leaders to be working with. Because when I think about the systems and the programs that have worked best for us, right, the cornerstone systems and programs and public policy frameworks, social insurance is really at the heart of so many of them. And while we're in a profoundly different era than we were when many of the social insurance programs were put into place, the same core elements of need exist. We still need social programs that allow for all of us to contribute and all of us to benefit, for all of us to share in the cost and for all of us to pool the risk so that we can actually do better collectively for the generations to come. That is still evergreen, right? Those core principles, those core foundational elements of what works about social insurance are still things that we need. And we need them at the heart of our solutions for the 21st century. Because things are different, we will need to really think about what is different and what needs to change. We may even need a new set of universalisms, right? A new foundation, a new set of starting points. And again, this is where you can be incredibly helpful in thinking this through and helping us imagine this. When I think about what we might need as a starting point for working families, the idea that we've been developing at Caring Across Generations is this idea for universal family care. This idea that there could be one social insurance framework that helps working families afford childcare, elder care, and paid family leave. That would provide the kind of economic support to prevent crises and having to go broke in a moment of crisis, right? And allow us to participate in the 21st century workforce while ensuring that we have adequate support to care for our families too. So that kind of a program is how we are starting to imagine what a 21st century care infrastructure could look like. But I think it's just the beginning of what we need to be imagining together in terms of a new social contract for the digital age. Remembering that we still need things that support all of us, where we can all contribute and we can all benefit, right? We can all support each other. We can share in the risk and share in the cost so that we can all do better one generation after the next. And I so look forward to working with all of you to develop those solutions and those ideas. And I think now more than ever before, we have to preserve the space for big vision and big ideas. We cannot cede the space around what we actually need to solve the problems at hand. There's so much suffering and struggle happening economically around this country. The American people need real economic solutions, real viable solutions that deal with the pain points that people are feeling in this economy. And the people in this room have some of the most important insight into what some of those solutions could be. So thank you so much. It's my honor to be here with you.